You got the purple kicks.
Oh yeah.
You just got
always.
those, huh?
I always have purple, but these are very brand new.
So Arlan Hamilton, CEO and founder of Backstage Capital, a venture firm that funds underrepresented entrepreneurs. But first, we're actually going to start with some gay stuff, with some lesbian stuff. Usually we don't go there, but I did some research late at night a couple nights ago, and I was like, wow, Arlan,
You're real gay.
More gay than I thought.
Yeah.
Like you were here, but then it kind of went.
Oh yeah, I was and am real gay.
Still.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because we might have to cancel this if it's not at a.
Soups.
So, you had a lesbian blog.
Yes, it was called Your Daily Lesbian Moment. And we had
Can you share a couple lesbian moments?
You know, I will say that it started because I went through a breakup at the same time that I lost a business, like at the exact same time. So I was really depressed, and I was living with the person at the time in San Diego. And I had this, I can still see it in my mind, I had this moment years ago where I said, I am going to set her clothes on fire.
We've all been there, right?
Like,
no, just kidding. We don't condone violence here.
And if I don't do something to distract myself from that, it's going to be...
But how did you end up with a lesbian blog?
No, so that's what I did.
You thought, forget the workout, forget friends?
I tried the drinking part, and that worked for a while. And then one day it was like back in the day, and I was just like, I gotta like just do something silly. So I was like posting things to make me happy, you know, like little funny things, little clips, and I was like, I'll call it, well, actually it was just a blog, it was just like a post. And then like I woke up the next day and it had like 1,000, whatever it was at the time, it wasn't likes, but it was 1,000 of those.
Hearts,
it was on
favorites.
MySpace.
We love lesbians.
And I was like, wow, I wonder what it is, and it just, the more, I mean, it was for several years, about 50,000 lesbians and who I like to call...
50,000?
50,000 lesbian and lesbian
Got more
adjacent.
than Lesbians Who Tech Allies.
Yeah. Well, at the time, because you think about how far we've come, like at the time, you know, the feedback was, I'm in this small town, I don't have anyone around me that I can relate to. I go to your site to meet other people who I can relate to in the comments, and this was before Twitter and all of that.
Did you meet anyone on the blog that you know in real life now?
Oh yeah, I actually met a couple of girlfriends that didn't work out.
People are taking notes right now.
But
Start lesbian blog
to
get girlfriends.
No, I met people all around the country. I mean, you know, in my day, I could walk into any gin joint in a gay neighborhood and know people.
Figure it out.
Yeah, but
you still can. I believe in you.
So yeah, but I met a lot of people, and then at the tail end of that kind of thing, it was kind of when it was after the L Word went off the air. 'Cause I did a lot of recaps. That was kind of like that's what it became. It was like if I missed a recap by like 8 hours, I had people like you know.
So favorite L Word character?
Oh, Helena, of course. Helena.
All right, Team Helena.
Of course.
So then, you know, you're obviously so fast forward a little bit. You're making the decision to start Backstage Capital, and I was sort of looking into what were you thinking about at the time, and you actually you were deciding between starting a tech company and starting Backstage Capital, so you could tell people about the idea you had, which also gave me so much joy at 3 a.m. the other night.
Yeah, so towards the end of the blog, so many people had met each other and become friends, girlfriends, or even married from my blog, that I wanted to start an official dating site, and I did start like a very beta called Juliet and Juliet, and the first company I wanted to start was going to be a high-tech version of that had had all these things to it that would.
Are you so lucky that Arlan started Backstage instead of Juliet and Juliet?
Well, I mean, that's exactly where it started, and you can.
So how did you choose? How did you end up choosing between the tech company? Like, what were you thinking about when you ended up choosing the venture path?
I spent a few weeks really trying to figure out which one I should do. I mean, the long story behind why I want to start the fund, but I want to start the fund because in that journey, I learned from myself, my own experience, and a lot more people that we just weren't getting in the front door, and people were really not taking us seriously no matter what we were working on. I mean, I was working on media and dating, but people were working on things that were just super high tech, and they weren't getting taken seriously. So I remember thinking about it really, intently. I was broke and trying to figure out what to do next. And I said, I could start this company, and I think I could really make it work, help, a lot of people meet each other, and probably make money from it because I knew where I wanted to go. Or maybe I could do this like over and over and over again for other people and have the same kind of, like have a ripple effect instead.
Right.
And I had nothing going for me and no indication that I would. So it was really like looking down a fork in the road.
We basically say, I could solve a lot of relationships for lesbians and queer women, or I could help hundreds of companies.
I mean, that's what it was, and I felt like I was young enough, and I still feel like I am, that I could eventually do both.
Yeah.
And maybe...
So what year was it that you started Backstage? Officially
started 2015, because that's when I got my first investor,
Right.
but I started working on it in 2012.
2012. Well, let's say 2015 official start date.
Yeah.
3 years later, cover of Fast Company. Can we just... There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
I mean...
We gotta have a name for her. Whoever that is, we gotta have a name for her.
Did this just come out today?
It was just...
Just came out today. Just came out today. So you started Backstage, and you're on your third round right now, your third fund?
So we had 3 small funds that we've already closed out, and that's where we invested in our 100. The author's here. She's one of our portfolio companies.
You have one of your companies here today?
Yeah, Bee is here. There may be more, but I saw her.
So tell me about a couple of your companies. Just pick 2. Give us a little.
Yeah, I mean, Bee's company was just out here. I'm sure you saw, but she's using AI to kind of revolutionize the way people are getting mental health care and making it more accessible to more people, which I think is really interesting and gotten a lot of attention from. It's kind of easy to know what investors are liking in our portfolio and what they're kind of, it's just okay to them, and
Right.
hers is getting a lot of attention from our other investors. And then there's, I'm trying to think of one that would come from, Thirst. Thirst is a great one.
Yeah.
Y'all know Thirst?
Yeah.
Thirst is a dating app.
Yep.
It's also a friendship app, and it's for non-binary, non-gender. I don't know all the terms, so I don't want to
Gender
get it wrong.
non-conforming,
Gender
non-binary.
non-conforming, exactly.
I got you.
Yeah, because Morgan, who runs it, didn't want you to have to kind of assign yourself with something just to get on a dating site, and I think, and doing so, had to go through so many iterations to really get the security right, that actually I think the technology that's being put forth for that could be used for other apps, and I think that's really exciting too.
So when you first started, the first 2 funds were in the 25K to 100K range per company.
Yes.
And recently you launched...
that just stopped, so it's very fresh on the mind.
And then you just launched a new fund for Black women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
36 million.
Yes.
36 $1 million checks.
Well, thank you. It's actually 18.
18.
Because we're doing follow-on.
Got it.
That's what we weren't able to do before. So it'll be 5 to 6 companies per year for about 3 years. That'll get $1 million run by women, Black women, and very specific. There's a whole thing there, and you can see all about that on our website too, backstagecapital.com. Why we kind of went that way, and then we'll double down.
So I want to hear more about the impact and just even the process in terms of being able to, 25 to 100K isn't nothing, right? But
No,
like
it's
how
not.
it went from that to $1 million and just sort of the difference, and even in the flow. In terms
Oh
of
yeah,
businesses that are
it's
coming
night
to you
and day,
the impact?
and I think what people don't realize, only because we don't tell everything that we do, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes at Backstage. So we have a lot of different tracks going. We have full teams that run different tracks, and so Brian Landers, who's on our team, been on our team for the longest, he wrote this really awesome Medium post recently to kind of put the lens on exactly what we're doing. So we have this track of, yes, we put 25K to 100K into 100 companies. Wow, and it isn't a ton, but the value add around it we feel is worth a lot more. Ramona Ortega's in the audience too, and she's in our portfolio. And so the around it, the platform around it. So we're very proud of that, and so we went in one direction there, which you talked about with the accelerator. And then on the other side is $1 million, and the $1 million into Black women is because we call it the It's About Damn Time Fund.
I love that.
Because
what's the percentage of Black women that get funding?
So today, 0.2% of all venture funding goes to Black women. 0.2%. And right now, they are either tied or in front at any given day of producing the most new companies. They're highly, highly educated when compared to other demographics, and they're the most underestimated. So to me...
Well, we know they're obviously great at voting.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So
yeah. Oh, I'm nervous. Do we have any results yet?
I think we're gonna get a little. Everyone voted. You took a break to vote. You did absentee today. Woo! Everyone's like, oh God, I gotta vote.
Yeah.
They're like, bye, Lesbians Who Tech.
Yeah.
So, how many of you listen to Startup, the podcast?
Woo! 4. Yeah.
All right, if you haven't,
the rest of you can now.
You should. I actually listen to it every now and then I was just listening, and all of a sudden you were
there
on,
I am.
and I was
I'm
like,
everywhere.
that. You are everywhere. That is true. One of the things that you were talking about in Startup.
It's a podcast by Gimlet Media. You can look up on iTunes, etc.
Good job. You got a plug?
I mean, I'm plugging it. I don't get anything from it, but I'll plug our podcast, which we do reaction episodes to the 6 episodes on Gimlet, because we don't always agree with Gimlet's take on things. So we do our own reaction, which some people have said is even better than the original.
But the lesbian blog really gave you the practice for this. This is like the pre.
Yeah.
But you talk about pattern matching, right? Obviously, there's a thing in technology in Silicon Valley that pattern matches to the white Stanford male cisgendered hoodie wearing guy. And
Sure.
I really love. Can you tell the audience a little bit about how you think about pattern matching and when it comes to funding?
I didn't come from any background in finance or even tech or any of that. I just kind of had this brand new view of things, kind of amateur, still kind of amateur view of things.
I mean, amateur?
Well, maybe.
You're next level.
Yeah, something, yeah. But I think that gave me an edge, because it just was so simple to me. I said, okay, I've learned so much. Like, I just taught myself a bunch of stuff about venture capital when I was trying to raise money, just so I could know who's on the other side of the table. And I said, pattern matching comes up over and over again, and it's about, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's about going with what you know has worked in the past, because it may work better in the future still. And I said, well, if people are pattern matching in this, there's 90% of venture capitalists are straight white men. There just needs to be more people who look like me and us writing checks. And then maybe more people who look like me and us will get checks. It seemed very no-brainer to me. And but you would be surprised at how many people laughed at that and didn't, or just thought it was so ridiculous when I mentioned it.
One of the things I think a lot about is sort of in that pattern matching conversation is the idea that, often when we're hiring someone, right, we're looking for past experience, is the proxy, right? But when we think about, what people have taken a company public, or if you've been on a corporate board, right, they're all white, straight, cis men generally, sometimes men named John more than women. So we can't.
Yeah. Can I tell you something?
You can tell me anything.
So in the last 2 years, Jack Dorsey has been on the cover of Fast Company twice. So more times than anyone, wearing the same shirt. So it is about damn time that happened, right?
It's about damn time. So tell me about some of the other things you look for in the companies, like some of the qualities. I know you don't choose a certain market, right? So, but what are some of the things that you're looking for?
Today we're agnostic, and it really does depend. Have we talked about the accelerator?
No, we can talk about the accelerator.
Yeah, we announced our accelerator last week. I'm sure you wanted to talk about it later, right?
Yeah, no.
But if you're asking how,
we don't need to follow a plan
here.
here.
Okay, great.
Yeah, go.
Because it just depends on what bucket it's coming out of. Who, it's me, but now we have 22 people on the team.
22?
Yes, 22. We grew from me sleeping in a car, not even my car, at South by 2015, to 22 people growing, and then growing with the accelerator even more than that. But the point of that is that there are a lot of people now looking at the deals, and I'm so excited about that, because you have such a diverse group of people who are looking at who gets a check. So everyone, if you go to backstagecapital.com/accelerator or /apply, you'll see different people who are on those teams and kind of get to know them and know their taste because they talk about it on the site. I personally am still looking for the same thing I looked for the first day, which is I'm pattern matching for grit. I'm pattern matching for myself. I'm pattern matching for someone who would go from nothing. And I don't like to say nothing because I feel like I had a lot of privilege, even though I was poor and homeless. I had a lot of privilege, but went from scratch and built this. I want someone who I know would do the same, someone who is not reckless in that pursuit. Someone who seems like they're strategic and measured and knows what they're talking about and knows what they don't know, or knows when they don't know something, right? And they don't overcompensate, because this has to be a learning process for the rest of your life. You have to be learning, or what good are we to you if you know all the answers in the room? We can't have a discussion.
Right. We have to have the ability to fail, right? We don't.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't learn
and I'm a big proponent of giving women of color, especially, room to fall a couple times, because we are held to a standard that is impossible, and we're given. It's true. Like if you use venture capital as an example, we're given the crumbs, and we're expected to move mountains as compared to the mediocre people sometimes who are given more than
1,000%.
And yeah, so I'm a big proponent of why am I not allowed, and why are others not allowed to have a bad day, to not get it right the first time? Why is that? Meanwhile, I know people who are again, and I'm not going to do the whole, some of my best friends are white men, but they are, right? It's not us against them, but it's the truth. They would say the same, and they have. I've seen a lot of them get check after check, chance after chance. I mean, we see it too. I mean, I don't want to get into, I think of Rothenberg every time I think of that, and he kind of blows my mind, his second and third chances that he gets. But I said this before, and I don't mean this with any shade, because any given day we don't know where I feel about Elon. But it varies.
It's hard. I mean, that
varies.
makes sense.
Yeah, he's not Peter Thiel level. I could still stand him, but there's a little stuff going on. But I say, if he hadn't had the rocket ship blow up, he wouldn't have had the landing. We don't get afforded that. Right. We don't get afforded that. Not even the capital. I'm not even talking about the capital. I'm talking about the room.
The room to fail.
To not be, every time they describe Serena, she's Superwoman. She's a beast. She's anything but human. And then the moment she's human, she's horrible. And there's all that in between that I don't understand.
The double standard.
Yeah, triple.
Have you written any $1 million checks yet?
No, well, we're going to announce we have not, but we're going to announce our first 2 by the end of the year. And I usually like to under-promise, over-deliver. So when I say end of the year, maybe a little
sooner.
Earlier, maybe sooner. But I think we've had enough announcements for a while.
You want to slow it down. You need to.
We did our accelerator last week, which is blew up because it's in London, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and a 4th city you can vote on. And at backstagecapital.com/accelerator, you can vote on what that 4th city should be. And then right after that, we launched our Backstage Talent Network, which if you're looking for work, you can go and sign up to be in a database that is heavily vetted to see if you're a match for one of the job openings in our portfolio, which is a little different than normal because usually it's just a list of jobs at the venture fund.
But you're actually going to do the curating.
But we're doing the curating, and if it's nothing there now, we'll keep you and kind of.
Is that sort of what you've been doing already, just not an official?
Yeah, all the stuff that we push, kind of ship is stuff that we started manually and by necessity. And even though we have so many people, it's very lean, very lean.
Do you feel pressure to have an exit?
Yes, I felt pressure to have an exit. I should say I was pressured to have an exit. I don't feel pressured to have an exit. Because I shut that down real early with people because they were, again, those expectations that they don't put on others. The problem is I have spoken to white people before. So, so I know what's expected of my counterparts.
Yes.
And so someone else can't come to me and say something is expected of me that's a 10x ridiculous pie in the sky, and I just believe that. So for instance, I have a friend who has a much larger fund than we have. We were chit-chatting, and he was like, yeah, I'm like, we're like 4.5 years in, and we're going to have our first exit soon. And I was like happy for him, but I knew in the back of my mind, I have been pressured, where's your exit? You're a year in.
Like immediately, yeah.
Like, you're a year in. Where is your exit? And so there's a lot there to unpack, because it also has to do with my personal view on not pressuring our founders, not being
Focused on the exit.
Yeah,
Why do you have that view?
I absolutely want our companies to exit, and I want to be very wealthy, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing with the people I'm doing it with. But I think that you don't treat people like there's some sort of you just stamp and they're no good to you if they haven't delivered for you right away. So I think it's strategy to be as founder friendly as you possibly can without being a doormat, and letting that founder do their thing. I'm not going to go into their company and take over their company and tell them what to do. So why would I go and look over their shoulder every day and say, "What, you done yet? You finished? You ready to exit?" The patience that you're supposed to have as a VC, all these things that people talk about you're supposed to have, I don't see a lot of it. I see it with like really great really great investors. There are people like Josh Koppelman, who I really like. It's that first round. He's super patient, and he's kind of just like practical and logical, and he's like, yeah, some things take 12 years, some things take 2.
Shorter, yeah.
And like that thinking to me, and yeah, it's just, that has nothing to do with race or creed or race or orientation. It has to do with my view as an investor.
So I'm going to end with a question about Backstage.
Is it gay stuff?
We're going to go back to the gay stuff. So you recently got engaged.
I did. Relatively recently.
Can we hear a little story, engagement story?
I relatively recently got engaged. We got engaged last fall.
Still new. Feel the new.
Sure. So her name is Anna, and she goes by queer German girl on Twitter and Instagram. So look her up. She does really awesome content for like analysis for cultural things on YouTube, and she's also just awesome all around. And okay.
You love her, right? We want to.
Yeah, she's just great. She's just awesome. And we actually met at the sort of the tail end of the blog. Because I had built this blog from nothing.
You met on the blog?
Yeah. So at the tail end of it, though, because I had built it from nothing, I was doing phone calls. It's funny because I was doing like phone calls, like kind of clarity calls, like if you want to learn how I did it, call me, pay me $30 so I can eat tomorrow. That'd be cool. And she signed up for like 2 of those, and we talked, and it was like really great questions. And she's German, and like English is like her 4th language or something, and really great questions and really concise, and we got a lot out of it. And then I looked up her stuff, to learn more, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cute, But that was that. And then, I kept it profesh.
Avi.
And then a few weeks, like there was a couple of follow-ups to kind of whatever, but then a few weeks went by, and we just started talking because she had this amazing content online, and she knew me from my content, and her content was just she had no budget and nothing. It was just all creativity. And even back then, it was before the fund. It's really important. It was before the fund, so yeah. I know she's down, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean down as a cool
now,
person.
Hope it works
as a cool person, because anyway.
She signed up for your class. That's like enough.
Yeah. Well, so she, and then I saw her content, and even back then I like things that have a potential. Like seeing a diamond in the rough, and that's what I saw with her. And so.
So how did it happen?
We just kept talking, and I was homeless, so I didn't have there was no way I was going to be in Germany anytime soon, even though I traveled before. And then she was with me through like really tough times, just like on the other side of the world, you know, connected.
Checking in with you,
yeah,
talking.
we would talk every day. We would talk every day. And then, you know, you just talk to people and you learn about them. And then I was like really down and out, really doing bad. And she was just like, you know, I wish I could help you. But I'm like, you know, just talking to me and like not feeling like sorry for me and like taking me seriously is like really awesome, and I need that right now. And most people didn't see me like that. They saw me as, I don't know what they saw me as, but they didn't see me as that, and it was real vulnerable with her. And then I got the fun rolling, and then all of a sudden things blew up. And I tell you what, I mean, even today, like we got on the phone for about 30 minutes today, just to kind of, because today is kind of a big day. Because I'm at Lesbians Who Tech.
Because you're at Lesbians Who Tech, and you're on Fast Company at the same time.
Yeah. So we got on the phone, and we were just like giggling. We were giggling almost as hard as my mom giggled when she met Jane Lynch earlier.
It was so cute. It was so cute.
She was so happy. She's over here somewhere. I don't know where she is, but she's so happy to meet her. But we were just like giggling, and just, I'm like, if people knew how much of a dork like I am and you are, you know.
We'd love you even more. We're
right.
pro dork here. We are pro nerd.
It's just, I will say it's the healthiest relationship I've ever had. We're going into like 4 years of knowing each other and 3 years of a relationship. Because I ended up going to Barcelona after I got where she was living, and after I got the fund and meeting with her, and you know, we've spent, I don't know, a dozen trips together.
I feel like we're gonna have to like pry the actual engagement story out of Arlan after this, but I'm gonna keep pushing for it. But I want to end with, so you said you don't feel successful yet.
Correct.
What does success look like for you?
I just think that success is a rolling thing. I think it's, I mean, honestly, to be honest with you, I say that with no like, you know, don't look at me like that, you know, whatever. But today, I feel like this is something. You know,
it is something.
It's something. But there honestly is so much work that I mean, our whole team has just been working like crazy all day. Yesterday, we're gonna do same types of emails, same types of, you know, work, and there's so much more for us to do. So success is when we have made ourselves obsolete as a fund because we're no longer underrepresented.
Needed.
Yeah.
Well, I want to end with that. You know, Lesbians Who Tech. We finally got to 12 people, and we have a little more resources. So I want to get involved with Backstage.
Okay.
I want to make it happen, and I want to encourage all of us here too, because we have your back, and we want to show up for you, and we're so proud of everything you've done.
Awesome.
Let's give it up for Arlan.